Did you know that there are dinosaurs in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2? They're shown to you in literally the first hour or so of the game. In that early cutscene where you and Hans go into the lake, you could see a small dinosaur running around off to the side. And if you play on ultra wide, you could see these little fellas even more clearly. And this isn't the only place dinosaurs appear. Tons of cutscenes feature these, like this one much later in the game where you can see a dino hiding in a destroyed building. But the dinosaurs aren't cutscene exclusive. You could find even more dinos right here on the map, in a building just southwest of Gutenberg. The building itself appears to be abandoned. You could freely walk in and nobody is around, although as you go inside you will be trespassing. And after a few ladders down, what you'll find is that below is an extensive tunnel network, and following one of these paths will lead you to a scene with dinosaurs. By default, there are a few dinosaurs and foliage here just running in a circle. Also this scratched up guy on the side that almost looks like he tried to feed or interact with the dinosaurs. But I guess in order to not get a similar fate to this guy, you can't actually get into this room, at least not without console commands. And once inside, there isn't much more to find, but it definitely seems like this dude was killed by the dinosaurs. And while I have seen some speculation that these dinosaurs could be a larger ARG or mystery for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I think this is honestly just a fun feature. In Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, chickens would randomly pop up in a ton of cutscenes, and it seems like for the sequel they're getting dinosaurs instead. And fun fact, the PR lead Sir Toby just revealed during a podcast that creative director Daniel Vavra didn't actually know these dinosaurs were in the game, now does, and instantly wants them out of the game. You probably heard about some of these secret perks in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. There are quite a few of these that you just unlock by doing something, like riding your horse far enough. Lots of these are situational, but one of the secret perks is super easy to unlock and incredibly handy across your entire playthrough, to the point where you should just kind of drop everything to get this one right now. The resistance perk is for survival. You can get this one by picking 200 of a poisonous herb, which sounds fairly daunting, but the reality is this can be done in all of a few minutes. Go here in Troskowitz. On the side of this trader building is a ton of nettle, which, wouldn't you know, is a poisonous herb. That 200 count you have to hit for each individual piece of nettle, and you'll notice that as you pick these up, you pick up a lot, sometimes just getting 20 in one go, which is 10% of the overall total you need. So just by looting the nettle here, and there's even a bit more on the other side of the building, you could probably get 200. I did, and this will give you resistance, which will permanently increase your vitality by 2. Vitality is basically your stamina in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So from this, you'll just have better stamina for sprinting, horseback riding, and of course, combat for the entirety of this game. Something I see a lot of players not realize is there are actually two different types of taverns in this game. Taverns that are really just for drinking and dice will only have a beer stein icon, but taverns that also have beds for rent or purchase will have the ivy on top as well, and these taverns can be incredibly powerful. What I think a lot of players don't realize is you can buy a permanent bed and chest at a tavern. The nightly rate tends to be about 12 groschen, but for 120 groschen, 10 times as much, you can instead opt to stay longer, which will grant you a permanent bed here. In the mid to late game, when 120 groschen isn't a crazy amount, this becomes super handy, as you can basically buy beds that are closer to vendors or fast travel points. Such as here in Gutenberg, where I now have a bed right next to the fast travel, an armorer, and a trader, which makes for a perfect spot for dumping items after thievery runs. And speaking of thievery runs, later on in this video, I'm going to show you some secret quest outcomes and even a secret ending for the game that many of you likely aren't aware of, but I'm leaving all of those at the end just to avoid spoilers. But speaking of thievery, a super important detail that I think a lot of people are missing is to sell your items to the appropriate vendor. Category-specific vendors will often pay more for the same items compared to, let's say, a trader. Take my bassinet here as an example. The trader will pay me 371, while the armorer will give me 631 groschen. That's a pretty monumental difference. Comparing a bunch of these items, I noticed about a 70% increase on sale price for tons of armors and weapons if you're selling them at the armorer compared to the trader. And particularly with higher end purchases, you should always be haggling in this game. High charisma makes haggling odds more favorable, and particularly on big purchases, you can end up swinging prices by several hundred groschen, basically just for free by haggling. With this nice Italian bassinet, even when I only have 3 charisma on my character, which basically anyone should be able to get, I'm able to haggle it down to 2,550 groschen. That's nearly 300 groschen off from doing nothing. Well, conversely, on my 29 charisma character, I can get things all the way down to 2350, an additional 200 groschen off. So here, just by wearing some nice clothes and trying to haggle, I saved nearly 500 groschen off this helmet. Although, if you do have high charisma, what is funny enough the best option for saving money is just stealing. And no, I actually don't mean sneaking around to steal things. If you just walk into shops, find a few high-end pieces you like, and literally take them off the shelf in front of the shopkeeper, you'll immediately be confronted, but if you have high enough charisma, you can immediately talk your way out of this. This does come at a cost to reputation with that shop, but the major consideration with shopkeeper reputation is selling prices. So if you're just stealing all of this stuff anyway, the selling prices don't matter nearly as much, particularly when stealing several thousand groschen worth of armor, which again, you can pretty easily do. And if you want even less things to spend money on, you can also get free repairs for basically the entire game. And this will come with some free craftsmanship experience if you wanted to. There's a level 10 perk in craftsmanship known as Keen Eye. This makes it so NPCs who repair items for you will grant you craftsmanship experience. So, for example here, I spend 118.9 groschen to get all of my gear fixed, and as an added bonus, I get 66 craftsmanship experience. Which honestly, for a mere 100 groschen, that's a pretty sizable amount of experience. But like I mentioned, you can also get your money back. I think the easiest way to do this will be the Trotsky Castle blacksmith Osina. As he enters into his forging animations, try to pickpocket both sets of keys on him and make sure you get both keys. There are two. I found this super easy to do by targeting his front pouch while he is mid-animation, because once you have those keys, the place he stores his coin is literally the door right next to your own room. You can of course loot all of his items, but in the mid to late game, even more valuable is having him repair all of your gear, get a bunch of free experience from it, then just break in here to get all of your money back for free, and again, a bunch of free experience. But one aspect of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 that remains hidden to a ton of players is the level of simulation going on with this game. Like yeah, sure, we've all seen some notable or crazy encounters in this one, but did you know just how much is going on around you? NPCs will intelligently search for you in this game. During this quest with patrolling soldiers, I perfectly executed a stealth takedown on one of them, and propped myself up nearby to see how the others would react. Nearby soldiers, having heard some kind of commotion, run over to the area, and you could even see them drawing swords beforehand. And this is where the sim part of the game gets really cool. Rather than just immediately searching for me like most games, instead, those initial two soldiers alert everyone else around them. You could even see one running to get closer to his comrades to let them know somebody has fallen. Then, as a group, the soldiers basically conduct a grid search of the area near the dead soldier, and that's the part that's really cool to me. They're not just returning to their past patrol areas now on higher alert, but instead searching here where I actually am. Now all of a sudden, there are 4 to 5 soldiers patrolling around instead of the typical 1 or 2. Doing something similar at a camp, I took down one of the enemies and waited to see how the rest would react. And the first person to discover the body does something interesting. Immediately, they alert nearby friendlies, so more are aware of what is going on here. But then this NPC runs directly to where I was spotted just a bit earlier as I was scouting out this camp. In the first take of doing this, the enemy ran directly to me because I was using the same hiding spot, but it definitely seems like they remembered where I was, and upon finding the body would immediately go back there. I could see this even more clearly at another camp. I killed 2 of the 3 camp members, and what you'll notice is right as I finish off the first NPC, the one on watch briefly notices me running away, but doesn't actually realize his friend is dead yet. So then they go on to investigate the body, and you could see this NPC immediately runs up to where they heard or saw me.
Maybe I should bring someone in to deal with it.
Conversely, after taking down the second NPC, while the third is woken up, who has otherwise just slept through this entire encounter, but this third NPC will do a more general patrol around the area, because they don't know where I am. They slept through everything and were never alerted to my location and didn't see me beforehand. And if you do go back to that fallen soldier, you'll now find one of his buddies distraught that he died and sitting there with his head in his hands.
My God, what will I do without him?
God, why? Why did this have to happen? He's never coming back.
And this is a thing. Take down one member of a group and you can regularly find another member upset over the fallen. A super cool detail in this game that actually makes me feel bad for taking down copious amounts of bandits, guards, women, soldiers, animals, and more. And there is even more unique behavior in towns and cities as well. Over in Gutenberg, I killed a vendor in broad daylight. Nobody noticed initially, but pretty quickly another shopkeeper calls out a body laying on the ground, and you can see they immediately sprint off to alert the guards. And what makes this particularly wild to me is this is pretty real. That NPC is actually running to tell someone, and later on that guard runs over to investigate the murder. But notably, this other guard is just casually strolling by. This means that NPC ran over and found one specific NPC and then told them that information. Then the guard was able to act on the information and came running over. This other guard didn't hear any of that. It's not like they're just magically informed of what else is going on, because in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, NPCs actually have to talk to each other to learn info. The next day, I take out another shopkeeper, but this time around, the locals form an even larger crowd with more extreme reactions, and after the third death, 2 guards are left investigating with random NPCs talking about how unsafe things are here now. So yeah, if you haven't been paying attention, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 actually has some really cool simulations happening around you, and from time to time, just try and do something and stop and see what happens. And one thing you can do in this game is rear your horse by pressing back and jump at the same time while on a horse. The horse will rear its back legs, scaring enemies, and there even is a perk to make this more fearful. You can raise and lower your visor of your helmet by using Z on PC or up on the D-pad. And yeah, this will impact your stats, so once you get to the late game, start doing this. If you don't have your visor down and get hit in the face, it'll deal massive damage to you. Your face just isn't covered there. The map marker in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is modeled after Hans Capon. Some of the promo pictures released make it incredibly obvious that this map icon is just designed to look like Hans in armor. In the back corner of Kutenberg is this little park area, and there's a secret inside. Walk to this corner through the bushes and you'll stumble upon a staircase. For me, it's a very hard locked door. But within, you'll find a room full of skeletons diligently working on designs that match some of the buildings or towns around this game. This seemingly being a reference to the devs of Warhorse Studios making Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and it likely being a joke around crunch culture and how much effort went into getting this game out. But like I mentioned a bit earlier in this video, I also want to show you some secret quest choices and outcomes, including some secret endings to the game overall that you may have not known about. I'll structure this in order of least spoilery to most spoilery, so do be warned. But do you remember the Hermit, or really the Hermit's sword? This is a potentially mandatory side quest in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. If you utilize the blacksmith path to get into the Samine wedding, you'll probably have to meet this character. Basically, the task here is to find the Hermit, and more specifically, his very valuable sword for the blacksmith, who intends to use the sword as a wedding gift for this upcoming wedding. And if you do so, the blacksmith will also let you come to the wedding, so you really have to do this. And spoilers if you haven't already done this quest, but what you eventually discover is that the real Hermit is dead. Instead, when you go up to his house, this is going to be his friend, or really a member of the same order, who's here in his place now, pretending to be the Hermit to us. The quest can branch off into a bunch of different ways depending on what you do here, but that's actually not the part I care about. Because what a lot of people don't realize is you can meet the real Hermit in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. If you just go to the Hermit's house prior to the Wedding Crashers quest beginning, you can instead find and chat with the real Hermit known as Ambrose, who is alive, albeit dying.
What's the matter, Hermit? Are you sick? Can I help you somehow?
I'm old. The Reaper is already sharpening his scythe for me. All you can do is pray for my soul, lad.
Ave Maria.
But another one of the big turning point quests in KCD2 is Necessary Evil. This is when you and Hans ride over to Samine with von Bergov's men, and it has a pretty funny secret outcome. During this quest, you are sent with von Bergov's guard captain known as Hashek, and together you're meant to question the nobles at Samine. But during this questioning, Hashek starts to act erratic, and even relatively early on starts demanding that you kill the Samine nobles. You will have a variety of options here, but I think for many players, the natural choice is just to push against Hashek. It almost feels organic to go against him, and I think for a lot of players, you'll end up killing Hashek and instead burning down Samine to cover things up, while the noble family of Samine flees off into the distance. The next day, you have to go to von Bergov to report about what happened, and mind you, Hashek is his guard captain. This is no ordinary sergeant you just killed. Thankfully, Hans Capon is a masterful storyteller, and it's relatively easy to get past von Bergov here. Just pick all of the obvious dialogue options, and von Bergov will continue to believe you and Hans's story. But right at the very end, right as you're in the clear to move on to the next quest in the game if you want to, you can instead clear your conscience and be honest about killing Hashek.
And a good thing too.
Henry!
That bastard ordered innocent people to be slaughtered.
What's the meaning of this?
Sir, forgive my...
No apologies. I'm proud we did it.
I admire your courage for telling me that eye to eye. I wonder if you will still have that courage when you are face to face with death.
This goes on to trigger a full-on execution cinematic for this dialogue choice, which to me is just awesome. The scene even has several moments where it feels like something might happen where you don't die, but nope, in reality you just get executed at the end.
Do your duty.
Where you simply get a death screen saying that you are executed for your crimes. So yeah, don't be honest in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it might just get you killed, but can also get you laid. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 also has a secret romance ending. The game features a ton of romanceable NPCs. You'll encounter these characters left and right as you progress through the game. But if right from the start of the game, you bring up your love interest from the first game, known as Theresa, and then as all of these opportunities to drift away from Theresa pop up throughout Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, if you turn them down, as you finally get to the ending of the game, right as you have this scene with your parents in the field, you can actually have things go quite differently. You'll always have this dialogue choice to say you want to settle down after the events you went through over the course of KCD2. And after picking that option, you'll have any of the major romance interests in the game available to you as somebody to settle down with, but if instead you turn down all of those opportunities to romance somebody else and mention Theresa whenever the opportunity did present itself, you'll have Theresa as a secret final option for settling down after the end of KCD2.
With Theresa, Ma. Who else?
A Scarlet's girl.
And from the mill, too. She won't go far wrong.
I hope you'll be happy together.
Well, whichever way your path leads, take my advice. Watch out for that Eric. I don't think he's going to forget you anytime soon.
Don't worry. I won't forget him either.
Well, it's time to say goodbye.